now it's time for Rugby League.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode on NRL Insight UK with me, your host Dan Lee. Joining me today, he's returned. He enjoyed it last week that much that he's thought, I'll have another crack at it. Of course, it's Mr. Paul Cooke. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, good, Dan, thank you. Enjoyed the weekend's games. Looking forward to the rest of this weekend. Obviously, back to rivals round in the Super League and some big games over there in the NRL.
Yeah, plenty of points scored this week. A lot of high-scoring games and a few shock results as well. Obviously, we're going to go through all the results today. I'm going to start off with... We started off with some questions with you last week. So I've given you your own round this week. It's Question Cookie. So we're going to start with Question Cookie.
Let's go.
Let's go. So, question one. Do you miss being a head coach, and would you like to coach again?
I don't think I miss it right now. I miss the players. I miss speaking with players, and I miss seeing them regularly. Still speak to a lot of them, obviously, from Featherstone and other clubs. So I still stay in touch with them, but I wouldn't say I miss the rigmaroles of coaching in terms of some of the politics that go with it. But
No.
I'd never say never. Right now, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying the media side of things, along with yourself on here, Back 10, Talk Sport, Sky Sports. So, yeah, that's enough of a rugby league fix for me, I think, for now.
I was going to say, when you went into it, did you realise how much it was going to take over your life? Because being a head coach, I would imagine it's 100% of your time, isn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously, when I was still playing at Doncaster, I was still a player head coach. So you can imagine how much time that took. So
Yeah.
right now, going into head coaching is a lot, probably less stressful than playing and coaching. But yeah, obviously, it's a non-stop job. You've obviously got players and players' families to deal with. Family first is the mentality that we always had as a player and a coach. So, you know, you've got a hell of a lot to deal with as a head coach. You've got 30 kids that rely on you to make sure they're well prepared and obviously still be there as a friend and a counsellor and therapist, whatever else you need to be, so that they can be of the best state of mind to perform as well as they can.
Yeah, perfect. On to the next one. Best player that you played alongside with?
Jason Smith's always the one that springs to mind. He came over as a Queensland and Australian international. He was very much taught me a great deal about how to play the game when you're not blessed with speed, and speed of thought was most important. So, Richard Swain was another big player for the club that FC when he came over.
Was massive.
Swain was great.
Player. Yeah. Next one. Name one NRL club and one Super League club you wish you had the chance to play, other than the ones that you played.
Well, listen, when Shane Richardson left England and went back to Australia, he went to Penrith, and I almost went to Penrith. I had a look at going to Penrith in my early 20s. So yeah, I think Penrith's always had that pull. I know they're probably the best team in the comp over there at the minute, but I can go back as early as 25 years ago to when that first came on my radar. I think for Super League it was always the Saints teams of the early 2000s. There was Quick and they played a brand and style of rugby that was off the cuff a little bit and unstructured. So.
I mean, for a half like yourself to be hitting the likes of Willie Talau and Jamie Lyon on the outside, that would have been nice.
Yeah, it wasn't so nice stand to defend against it.
No.
I can assure you that. So, they had a brilliant team. No, not only them, but you look at Sculthorpe, Long, Tommy Martin. I probably wouldn't have made the team. Don't get me wrong, but it would have been a pleasure to play alongside some of them players.
Yeah. The final one in this quick round. When is your next appearance on the Sky Sports commentary team?
Yeah, I'm there this Saturday. I'm at Huddersfield, York and Huddersfield this Saturday. So heading over there Friday to catch up with some boys. I'll give them a call after this call and
Yeah.
catch up with some of the old York players that I coached a couple of seasons ago, and look forward to doing the commentary there. The one after that is I'm at Castleford the following weekend, and
Yeah.
then I've got two the weekend after. So yeah, getting a bit busier.
Nice one. That concludes Question Cookie. Remember, if you have any questions for me to ask Paul in this segment, just put them in the comment section below, and the best ones will be selected, and I'll read them out for Paul. Let's get straight into the NRL news, because there's been so many stories this week. The main one being Zach Lomax, Joey Manu, both incredible players linked with PNG Chiefs, and Joey Manu's actually had a tour of the facility, so it's looking likely that he's going to sign over there.
Yeah, big news, making moves to PNG Hunters. It's not a surprise, is it, when you consider that they've announced the head coach, they've announced the first signing in Jerome Luai, they've announced the second signing in Alex Johnston. And now they're making moves in the market to bring in some more quality players for season. I believe it's season 2028, isn't it, when they come in?
Yeah, it's 28.
There's some time to plan. And, one thing you know about Willie Peters having come over here to Hull KR is that he's going to start doing his job diligently and professionally and get around along with Michael Chamis. So they've got some really good people at the club. I do
think the way they're going, they're going to be almost Premiership ready with the roster that they're building. They are talking about, obviously, Zach Lomax will be an outside back, centre wing, but they are talking about Joey Manu, even though he was a centre for the Roosters, they're talking about he could be playing in the full-back position. I think he'd work well there, and he was an incredible player for the Roosters. By the time he gets there, I think he'll be 31 or 32, so he will be at the latter end of his career, but you'll still get 2 or 3 incredible seasons out of Joey.
Yeah, a fantastic player, as you said. I think a natural player, put the ball in his hands. It doesn't matter where he is on the field, but if you give him the football in space, then he's going to beat you with footwork and pace and power. He's a very good player.
Next one, Sam Walker, Maroons halfback.
Yeah.
He's been linked with the Canterbury Bulldogs. The news has broken recently that the Roosters have finally opened contract negotiations with him, but I feel like it's a little too late. Why would you wait to this moment to now start after he's just had an incredible... I mean, he was, one game away from getting the Wally Lewis medal in the State of Origin. He's already been incredible this year for the Roosters, and it's now looking like the Bulldogs are making a play for him, and they do need a natural 7 to potentially move Galvin to his normal position, which is 6.
Yeah, but I think that the move's a big one, isn't it? Is he going to move from Roosters to the Dogs? I'm not sure. If he is, it's probably an open checkbook, with all due respect. Yeah. He's playing that good right now, Sam Walker, after the Origin series. So he's in a healthy position, him and his manager, that's for sure. But, the Roosters are Premiership ready too already. When you look at their roster and where they are in the competition,
they are.
Are you going to risk going to the Dogs when there's so many square pegs in round holes at the Dogs that you don't know where anyone's playing? And you're right, Galvin's not a natural 7, but maybe him and Walker are very similar players. I know that Galvin's doing a great job even now of trying to guide the team around the field, but very similar builds in terms of the way to play. Neither overly quick in terms of yin and yang, and one quick, one smart in his head. So yeah, it'd be an interesting move if it comes off.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think it could be a very good move for the Bulldogs. Not so sure in personal terms for Sam Walker, because Hugo Savala's there, and I would see Sam Walker and Hugo Savala as the long-term 6 and 7 for the Roosters, and I think they could go on to win a premiership with that. Obviously, once DCE moves on. But obviously we wait and see how it unfolds. But like you said, I think if Sam Walker is to move to the Bulldogs, it's potentially going to be for a lot of money. You're talking
without a doubt,
between 1.5, 1.7. Obviously with the salary cap going up as well. It's where his loyalties lie. I mean, as you know yourself, it's a short career in rugby, so sometimes the highest bidder wins for a player. So maybe we do see.
Yeah, the loyalty card's even less so, isn't it, over there? With regards, once you're off contract a year in advance of your last year of contract, then you can start negotiating from November 1st. So you see a lot more player movement over there than you probably do between anywhere in the Super League. You know, and to quote Roy Keane, if you want loyalty, get a dog. Get a dog.
That's true. Moving on, Germart Shibasaki to the Perth Bears. The Brisbane Broncos haven't managed to keep a hold of him. Their initial offer was around 300,000 Aussie dollars per season, and he is potentially, I think it's confirmed now, he's signed a deal with the Perth Bears for 500 per season for 2 years, so $1 million over 2 years. It's hard to say no to.
Well, I think it's difficult, Dan, to say no to a $200,000 a year increase in salary.
Yeah.
Particularly the year that the Broncos have had as well, in terms of the going from Premiership winners to possibly missing out on the 8. So you can understand it. It's the joys of a salary cap sport, where I've spoken about this numerous times on numerous podcasts, where you're spinning plates. You can't keep everybody, and you can't afford to keep everybody. We've seen it with the Penrith dynasties, Luai leaving, Matt Burton leaving, Viliami Kikau leaving, Api Coruscant leaving. So, you just can't keep everybody. I think Payne Haas moving on. There's also a longevity thing in terms of what players and people talk about under the Michael Maguire regime, where you can add probably years onto your contract and years onto the end of your career if you're not there under the brutal regime, which is often shot sharply and shot people into Premiership winners as under Michael Maguire. So there's no question he's a quality player. Begs the question, where's Harry Newman going to play when he goes over there?
I was going to say, because obviously they're signing an half decent squad now, and I know it's been bagged quite a lot in the Aussie media, but it's not a bad squad what they're building. They just haven't got that marquee name like a Jerome Luai on board yet. And when
they also haven't got the. And I know it's not tax-free money, having listened again this week to one of the journalists over in Australia about you still have to pay tax bringing it back into Australia, but they've not got that advantage either, which is difficult for Perth Bears. Because you're asking people to move all the way to Perth and play the Rugby League. What is a huge journey, probably every couple of weeks, back into the Rugby League hub of Australia, if you like. So and then you're asking players to move probably for a little bit more money in terms of Shibasaki here, in terms of not been getting $200,000 more dollars at the Broncos, but you're also not getting that element of tax-free stuff.
Although it is the other side of the country, it's still not a bad place to live. The beaches.
Without a doubt, no, without a question. Listen,
and you are obviously still in Australia as well. That's another plus point if they are Australian nationality. The other thing to do with the tax-free stuff, I've just been watching Kenty on his podcast, and he had to explain it because there's another podcast that's got themselves in a bit of hot water spouting incorrect facts about the tax-free. So you have to be careful with what you're saying. So as far as Kenty's explained it, the playing salary is tax-free, and even if they bring that money out of PNG into Australia, it's still
third parties, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the third party. So that's the downfall. Obviously, if you're a big name like Jerome Luai, you're going to have third parties everywhere. But for your middle tier player, who's in the average player bracket, so to speak, they're not going to have them Pepsi deals or Powerade deals. Whoever else is over there, they're not going to have that anyway. But I think the plan is to try and whatever third party deals they get is to survive on the third-party money while they're living in the facility, and then use the playing salary as a nest egg, which it makes sense. But I still don't think it's a bad move because to go into Perth, because it's something special. It's a brand new team coming into the competition, and you have the chance to be part of something really special. You know, it's something that's brand new, that's born into that, and you'll be remembered as one of the first members of that.
Well, we can go back all the way to Craig Bellamy and Melbourne Storm coming into a competition when you know, it was exciting over there, and they built their dynasty, and many premierships followed. So of course it's exciting to a player, and I dare say the majority of players that move over from whichever club they're at to Perth, then they're going to be an increase in salary for them.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. The final one, I mean, there is a couple of injury news. I'll just brush over them. Will Warbrick and Hudson Young, they've both received, or suffered, should I say, Achilles injuries during the same weekend, which means around 6 to 9 months potentially on recovery time. So Will Warbrick's played his final game for Melbourne, and obviously Hudson Young, not only does he miss the rest of the season for Canberra, but he's going to miss the World Cup for Australia as well, which is a devastating blow for them.
It's a blow for everybody. It's a blow for every rugby league fan as well. That we're going to miss out on such a talent that's not going to be at the World Cup. The scenes for Will Robert were awful. You know, when you watch them, you know, to see a player so emotional over. He knows it's his last game for Melbourne before he moves on, and you know, nobody likes to see any player injured. That's for certain. And there was sad scenes. It's not a great injury. It's one of the most serious injuries, obviously.
Yeah.
That any rugby league player can receive and be diagnosed with. So yeah, we certainly wish them both a speedy recovery.
The final news story from the NRL this week is one of our own, Morgan Smithies. His contract coming to an end with the Raiders. And like we spoke about Corey Horsburgh last week, they seem to be wanting to make room on the cap. Perth Bears seem to be the favourites to get him, but it's also been reported multiple Super League clubs are taking a look at him as well. And obviously he's a fantastic player. He would probably get in most, if not all, Super League clubs at the moment, but there's nothing that's come out so far of which the Super League clubs are that are looking at him, but it seems that he's on the move. I'm surprised really, because he has done very well for the Raiders. But if Perth would be able to manage to get a hold of him for next season, I think that's a fantastic signing for them.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, he was fantastic over here, wasn't he, when he played? He's been brilliant for Canberra as well. So, you know, whichever player gets him gets a quality player, an international player. So, yeah, we certainly wish him well. We want all of our players that move over to Australia to do a fantastic job, you know, and following the footsteps of the likes of the old players, if you like, in Lee Crooks, Gary Schofield, Ellery Hanley, Martin Afire and coach Jonathan Davis.
Yeah.
And more recently, you got Adrian Morley and Gareth Ellis, particularly, who did really well over there. So, we want all of our players that go over there to be brilliant.
I'm sure wherever he ends up, they're getting a fantastic player. Yeah. I just was surprised when they weren't even considering to try and retain him for next year. But like we said about the spinning plates analogy, it's someone's got to go, and Perth seems to be about the favourite destination. If not, he'll end up back in the Super League, which is obviously good for us to see him on a weekly basis. But yeah, that wraps it up for the NRL news. Let's now get into the NRL Round 20 breakdown of the results. So it was a interesting weekend. We started off with the Panthers v Broncos. Broncos 14-12 winners. I don't think anyone see, to quote you from last week.
just you know what, Dan? Just when you think you've got it all worked out as a rugby league expert, if you like, and somebody kicks you in the nuts like that, don't they? And, with a result which nobody sees coming. No. You know, the team at the top of the table against the team who were struggling to make the 8 last year's champions, and Reece Walsh, if you like, masterclass, along with a few others, gets the result.
it's come out of nowhere though, because they've lost against the likes of the Dragons, who are at the bottom of the table. They got assistant coaches leaving, the best players are leaving, like Payne Haas, and it just looked all doom and gloom. Everyone's put a red line through them, and all of a sudden they beat the best team in the competition.
Listen,
and now everyone's thinking, well,
they have still got to win 7, haven't they? I think
it's true, yeah.
7 of 8. So it's very unlikely that they'll probably make the 8, but who knows?
Who knows?
And what again? It may well kick Brisbane back up the backside, as in, I don't think they were poor in the game by any stretch.
No,
Brisbane were great,
the conditions were horrendous. It was like watching a game over here in the winter. So they struggled handling wise, but the Broncos' defence was incredible. Reece Walsh was on fire. Pat Carrigan made his return. They looked like they did last year, but I feel like it's kind of, I don't know how you would word it, but it's
possibly too little, too late.
Yeah,
possibly too little, too late.
Unfortunately, they're just going to run out of games, aren't they? It's too little, too late. That got us off to a flyer, and then equally as good of a game was the Sharks and Knights. Sharks ran out 2018 against the Knights. It could have gone either way. The Knights were fantastic, but the Cronulla Sharks, another win in the bag for them.
Yeah, after a big win last weekend, it would be interesting to see how they backed up. Against a team who've been really good in 2026 in the Newcastle Knights. I think that was probably the game of the weekend for me in terms of the intensity of the game. It could have gone either way. Both very good teams that will make the playoffs, I believe. So, it was a great game of rugby league, that one.
Yeah, the Sharks and Knights obviously both in the top 8. I think the Sharks at the moment sit 4th in the ladder.
Yeah.
I can't see either of them teams slipping out. They just look too good. Obviously, we touched on it last week, how good of a job Justin Holbrook's done. He's took them from wooden spooners all the way up to, they were in the top 4. They've slipped out of there now. I think they're 5th or 6th at the moment. But they look fantastic. On to the next one, which was the game after. It wasn't a great game, it wasn't a classic. It was the Roosters 14, Storm 6, and the Roosters, they did well in the end, but the Storm actually bombed 2 or 3 tries towards the end. They could have actually snatched it and it wouldn't have been deserved, but the Roosters, I think, joint 3rd in the ladder now after that win. What was your take on that game?
Yeah, but again, the Roosters get the job done, and as I said, I think they've got a playing roster which is capable of winning the competition. If they stay inside the top 4, gives themselves a very good chance of making the grand final. Big players stand up for them, don't they? When you got your Walkers, when Tedesco's not fit, they had a young kid at fullback who did a really good job. Teddy will be back shortly. I think it also showed that Melbourne will miss Munster.
Yeah.
When you look at that, them able to ice them chances and have a player who can win a game for them. Unfortunately, he's sat in the box with his coach, in Cam Munster.
Jerome Hughes was missing as well, but he is making a return this week.
Yes, he is,
He was a massive miss as well, because obviously they had I think it was Wishart at 6 and Tolau, I think, played 7. Obviously, Harry Grant was still there, but he can't do it all on his own. They just looked void of ideas at some time.
It shows you, Dan, how important your top 6, 7 is, doesn't it? In your squad, because you can maybe miss one of them and still try and get a result, but missing both. I thought they did a good job to get to lose 14-6. I know that sounds stupid because you're still not getting any competition points, but
no,
you're missing so many big players, in your salary cap and they're sat in the stands, and you're going to struggle to win games.
Yeah. I think it was something like the 50th minute. It was around that point that it took for the Storm to actually get into the Roosters' red zone, which was unheard of for a Storm side. And then towards the end, Nick Meaney all he had to do was catch the ball, put it down.
Yeah.
It was 5 metres out and dropped it. So it could have.
I think that play towards the end of the game and summed them up, didn't it?
Yeah,
it summed up Melbourne Storm and their day, and the fact that their execution was just that little bit off to win a game against one of the competition favourites.
Next game, the Canberra Raiders ran out 34-24 winners against the Rabbitohs. It was... AJ was on the score sheet again, and there was a stat which I found incredible. He's got 20-plus tries in 7 separate seasons, and I think that is unheard of. There's not many wingers that can run out that many tries for such consecutive... I don't know if it was consecutive seasons or over his career, but even so, he's got one hell of a try-scoring record, but it wasn't enough for his team. They're obviously missing some big names, Latrell being one of them. Cam Murray went down injured. They're missing a few. I think Dave Fafita's now missing this week, so it's not looking too good for the Rabbitohs now. They could end up falling out the 8 if they carry on losing the games. But Raiders now have won 3 in a row, starting to get some wins back. It's still they're in the similar stage as the Broncos. I don't know if they're going to make the 8, but they're making a good hand of it, so we'll have to see how they go. What did you think of the Raiders winning over the Rabbitohs?
Yeah, I always thought it would be high scoring. I think you struggle to stop a Wayne Bennett coach team and a Rabbitohs team scoring points and an AJ scoring points. I think Canberra are doing a good job. I think after Ricky Stewart's little outburst in the media the other week, it's just... The prickly little fella's obviously a bit fed up of the media over there, and his team have responded as well. They've come up with some tough wins. And that was a tough one at the weekend, but some good attacking play.
There was.
I think if either team stays in or makes the 8, if they're defending the way they've defended, then they'll be out in week 1 or week 2 at the very latest.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Next one is your affiliated team, the Warriors 20, Dragons 12. The Dragons had them scared throughout this game. Warriors never pulled away properly, but they got the job done. Another win in the bag, and still second on the ladder. So the Warriors going well. Yeah,
doing a fantastic job again, all of them. They don't have it all their own way in games. They're a team without them that marquee player, if you like. I think James Fisher-Harris is probably the biggest player for the club. I think they've done a wonderful job again to knock off another result. And if they stay, as I said, if you make the top 4, you give yourself every chance of getting to a grand final. And the Warriors are looking strong again.
Yeah, they are. Next one, Bulldogs 32, Tigers 0. The Tigers again.
They have fallen off a cliff, Dan. They have fallen off a cliff. They talk about the Luai news and the amount of games they've not won since the Luai news. Get over it. Yeah. Please get over it, West Tigers. Not, and I don't mean the media over. I mean the players get over it. Well, you've got to be better than that. You've got to be better than that.
I did mention it to you last week. Whether you personally would you take Jerome Luai out of the team? How it's unfolding now, I think they've slipped down to 14th in the ladder. I think it's as low as that, 13th, 14th. You've got to consider it at some point because you need to.
Yeah, they have. But Dan, who do you bring in? Is it because it's certainly not going to be as better quality?
No, it's not. It's.
Well, if you do it, you're sort of waving the white flag in the season, in my opinion, as a club. Whilst there's a chance for them to make the 8. Why wouldn't you play your best team and carry on? That's my take on it. But listen, the Dogs needed a result, and they've needed a result, and the kick out back off the bench was big. To get 0 in the NRL, excuse me, to keep a team to 0 in the NRL is no mean feat. So, job done for them. But I can't see either team making the 8.
They had Sean O'Sullivan playing. Well, he had the number 6 on
7.
his shirt. He had the number 6 on his shirt.
He played 7, didn't he?
He was playing 7. It's obviously they didn't want the backlash from, they've shoved Lockie Galvin in at 6. So if they've not got the number there, they've got a better defence. But we know what unfolded. Sean O'Sullivan actually been linked with the Super League.
Yeah.
But he had an appearance, I think it was him who had an appearance on Kenty's podcast recently, and he shut it down. He wants to stay over in the NRL, and you understand that. He's got
of course.
He's got a lot to offer. He's currently still a Bulldogs player, but, I mean, don't quote me on this. I'm sure his contract's up either this year or next year, and I just can't see the Bulldogs renewing it, so it would have to be obviously another NRL club if he's going to stay over there.
Yeah,
But I thought he was fantastic. The way with his ball movement, feeding Burton in the centres, and his kicking game, he did really well. But it's the same again. Obviously, we've had the ability of seeing the team list Tuesdays, and he's out the squad again because Stephen Crichton's back. So
yeah.
He's that kind of squad player, isn't he? It doesn't matter how good he plays, he's always going to be out at the Bulldogs. So, yeah, I just thought I'd give him a mention because he was one of the main reasons they played so well in attacking sense, scoring 32 points. Yep,
agree with you completely.
The next one, Titans 38, Seagulls 32.
It's a tough one with Manly. The honeymoon period, if you like, is over for Kieran Foran and Fosball and all the rest of that. They've lost some tight ones recently. To the news of it, is it? He's gone off with another hamstring turbo, so that's a big blow, a big blow for the Seagulls. But again, the Titans get another job done. Again, can they make the 8? Possibly, probably not. Probably not. I think their season is done, but they're certainly gonna be involved in shaking up the 8 with results like that against teams that are above them on the table, and if they get the job done.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Big Tino, he was on fire in this game.
He's by far and away the best player for them, and probably the best front rower over there at the minute.
Yeah.
His stats back that up. His leadership, the way he goes about his business on the field. I mean, if he moved to Perth Bears or to PNG Hunters, then that would be a blank checkbook as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The final game of round 20 was the Dolphins ran out winners 36-16 against the Cowboys. Dolphins again. Obviously, they had to bounce back from that hiccup of a devastating, heavy loss against the Sharks. But they've got some of their origin players back. The Hammer was back. They're beating the Cowboys by, convincing in the end. It was 36-16. Seems like Christian Wolf's got them back on track. Obviously, they've got to back it up this week. What did you think?
Well, I think when you lose by such a number the week before, Dan, it's not too difficult as a coach, particularly when your team's travelled really well for the prior part of the season from that loss. So I think there was always going to be a response. It was whether they could get the job done with Dearden coming back as well for the Cowboys. So I think it was a big win for the Dragons, the Dolphins, because of the loss the week before. So if they go none from 2 with a heavy loss and a loss again against the Cowboys, then I think then the coaching team would have had a job on for this weekend's game.
The strange one on the last point on that, the strange one for the Cowboys, Todd Payton came out and he'd basically dropped the 6, Jake Clifford.
Clifford, yeah.
He dropped him out of the team, which was a strange one. I know Tom Dearden was back, but I thought you would want to play them together. But he has come out after the game and said that it was basically to reset him physically and mentally, so he should be back in this week. But I just thought it was a strange decision to take him out at a vital point in the season.
Well, it's a strange explanation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've come out and said he's physically, so basically he's struggling with a few injuries physically and mentally. Yeah. That's how I read it. I think that at this stage of the year, there won't be too many players that aren't struggling with an injury, Dan, or some kind of injury. So, if that's the excuse he gives, and that is the real reason, then so be it. If it's not, he's made a boo-boo, hasn't he? Because he's dropped a player that has had an influence on wins that the Cowboys have had in the last month or previous couple of months.
I mean, the result and the performance would indicate that, because I think Jake's been unreal this season.
Yeah.
His kicking game's been amazing. I think he's vital for that attack. And they were even talking about, before he got his extension, they were even talking about him potentially not being there next season, but he's played that well that he's give the coach and the club no chance. No choice, should I say. Well, that wraps it up for NRL round 20. let's get straight into. We've put together a little special round this week. Let's get straight into it. It is, of course, War of the Roses. So this week, me and Paul's been messaging back and forth, and we've seen a few murmurs of it online. So we were basically going to put it together, talk about it, how it would work. We've put a Yorkshire team together and a Lancashire team together of current players. So let's get straight into it, Paul. Do you think there'd be an appetite for the War of the Roses to return?
There would be from me. I mean, I think the difficulty in our competition, Dan, is that the players already play too many games. And we had the exiles against England in a mid-season international, where the players got together and that was an extra game. And you find so many players that get either dropped or pull out themselves because of probably pressure from the clubs that they're under.
Yeah.
If they're playing with little niggling injuries, which the majority of players are, then they'll be pulled out by the clubs and themselves because they get the wages paid by them. So whilst there's probably an appetite for it from everybody outside of playing and clubs that are affiliated with clubs in positions of coaching staff, if you like, or CEOs and those that pay wages, then I think it'd be difficult to bring it back. But listen, the games that they started with when I was playing, the players that played in them was outstanding players.
Yeah, they were. I mean, without going too political about fixtures, we have a lot of loop fixtures. I mean, again, we've got the Hull derby this week. We've got Wigan and Saints again. I mean, it'll be the third time, is it? I think that we've all met each other.
Yep.
Do we really need 3, loop fixtures per season, or is there a chance that we could take out a loop fixture, integrate something that's like this, some sort of concept that's like this maybe in the middle of the season? That's going to be further on into the debate on when you would actually stage the event.
There is that, Dan, as well. Where you take out them. We desperately want to take out loop fixtures in our competition anyway,
because it kind of takes the specialty out of it, doesn't it? Because if you've got that, if you're like yourself, you're a Hull person or a Hull FC fan, Hull KR fan, you're looking on the calendar, when is that game? I want to go to that game. But if you've got 3, maybe 4 opportunities to go, it doesn't really mean don't get me wrong, it's always going to mean a lot, a massive derby. But I'm trying to say it takes the shine off it if you've got 4 opportunities to play that same derby. I don't think we should be doing that. We should be 2 home and away, and that's it, unless you meet in the cup or you meet in playoffs. It should just be home and away. And I don't think, excuse me, I don't think you need 27 rounds for a 14-team competition. I don't think you need that 27, especially when you're introducing things like Vegas, you're introducing Dublin. There's a lot going on in there. That would be my verdict on it. And I think if the loop fixtures weren't in, there would definitely be space on the calendar for a War of the Roses State of Origin type competition, and I think there would be a lot of fans that would back it as well.
I don't disagree, Dan. I don't disagree with everything you've said on it, man. Putting the teams together was fun as well, I'm sure. Lots of people it will divide opinion with.
Of course.
As always, whenever you pick a team, you might miss one or you might miss 2, or somebody's club feels that their player's playing better than someone else you put in your position. So
there's a disclaimer.
We're open to a bit here.
There's definitely a disclaimer. I have to say, when you see the teams, it's just a concept. It's an idea. We don't manage Lancashire and Yorkshire. We've not picked these teams. We've just done it as to show the people that are eligible and how it could look. We're open for chops and changes. You put your things in the comments. You put your ideas in the comments. Who we've missed, who should be playing, who shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
On the next point to that, because I know in the past, was it a one-off game in the past when you were playing?
I think I didn't play in it. I never got picked in it. So.
Or when you were
playing.
I
think it was just one game, wasn't it? There was one at Odsal. I remember Steve Prescott, obviously, God bless him, was fullback for Lancashire, and I think Leon Price stand off for Yorkshire,
Yeah,
and
he was. Yeah.
yeah, so some brilliant players that play in Lancashire that are eligible for Yorkshire and vice versa. So
So
it's an interesting concept.
So you're the RFL then. You're the Super League governing body. You, Paul Cooke. Would you start off, if you've got the budget there, you've got the space on the calendar? Would you start off with a one game to begin with, or would you want a 3
I think
game
so.
series?
I think you've got to, Dan, because if you throw 3 in there, then you're adding 3 games to the schedule. Even if you take out 3 low fixtures, then there's still going to be the elite players that are playing as many games when you're trying to avoid as many games. So, I think you start with a one-off, one in Lancashire one year, one in Yorkshire the following year, and see where it gets to.
Where would your choice of venue be for Yorkshire and for Lancashire?
I always love playing at Headingley. If I'm playing in Yorkshire, I loved travelling over to Leeds and playing against them. The South Stand, it's been rebuilt at the other side now. It was an older stand back then, but the atmosphere's great. I'm quite happy to take the Yorkshire one to Leeds. I like Warrington. I think Warrington's a nice venue. It's nice and compact, but the fans are on top of you a little bit. So I think there's no coincidence that the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup are played at them venues. Ironically, Doncaster's probably a good one as well. I'm sat here in Doncaster now, so
they've got a nice stadium in Doncaster, haven't they?
It has, the Keepmoat. So I think it's been renamed now, but it was the Keepmoat. So I think that's nice and compact. I think Warrington played OKR there this year in the cup semi-final. So
yeah. The other thing I was going to ask as well, because obviously we've picked these teams from Super League based players only. We know that there's players over in Australia that will qualify, likes of Herbie Farnworth from Burnley, so he qualifies for Lancashire. Morgan Smithies, Yorkshire lad. If it became a normal fixture, it became a 3-game series, state of origin style, and it was implemented within 5 to 6 years, however long it is, and it's actually got some meaning to it. Do you think the NRL will be willing to release the players to play in that fixture or not?
No, absolutely not. They won't release them to play in a mid-season international, so they're not going to release them to play in something that's not an international fixture.
No.
I just think that the players are, particularly those players you mentioned there, the Farnworth one, is he commands so much money annually over there that to not pay him to come all the way over to England and possibly get injured in a game, which it doesn't mean a great deal to them over there, would be unheard of.
It's just funny. I only asked that question because I think to myself, and I know it wouldn't happen because generally Aussie players that come over here, they're either in bad news or they're at the end of their career. But there obviously is one occasion that it's happened, which Alfie Langer went over to play for Queensland back in the day.
Yeah, he did.
If that was the case now, say, for instance, Nathan Cleary's signed for Wigan or Warrington, whoever it is, and he's playing his rugby over here and he's still at the top of his game, if New South Wales was to pick him, they would overrule the Super League club and make him go and play.
Probably.
That's why I asked the question.
Probably.
I just think it's double standards. So we'll get straight into the teams revealed. We'll start off with the Yorkshire team. Let's go with Yorkshire first. We went with Max Jowett at fullback, Tom Johnstone, Ash Handley, Jake Wardle, Lewis Martin as the back line. In the halves, they picked themselves, obviously, Mikey Lewis and Jake Connor. Front row of Tom Holroyd, Jez Litton, Robbie Mulhern. Back row of Joe Batchelor, Dean Hadley, and loose forward Minchella. We've put a 6-man bench together. Darryl Clark, Walmsley, Tom Burgess, James Bentley, Jack Broadbent, Will Price, and then we've done an extended squad of George Flanagan, Jack Sinfield, Harry Newman, Tyler Dupree, Cameron Smith, and coach, the Yorkshireman himself, Sam Burgess. We've put it on screen now, and I think it's a very strong squad. Obviously, there'll be players in there that we've missed. There'll be players in there that people disagree with. That's what I like about this, because it was the same with State of Origin, the same in any sporting sense, any representative rugby, football, whatever it may be. Everyone's got an opinion, and everyone else's opinion is valid, and yours isn't.
Yep.
So, what's your thoughts on the Yorkshire team then, Paul?
You're strong, yeah. I think when you listen to the Lancashire one in a couple of minutes, they're both really strong.
Yeah.
You know, could be stronger. Maybe people will have, as you said, Dan. We have different opinions of the way the game is seen and looked, and as a coach or a player, particularly for me as a former player, is you know, how you see the game being played, and who fits that role. You know, the roles in the team for you. So yeah, you know, I like the team. I like the way it's balanced. As you said, some players just pick themselves, and other players there'll be a dividing of opinion on from someone from your club, and I love that. That's what our game's about. It's about, you know, everybody has a little bit of a different opinion. If it was all the same, it'd be very boring.
Yeah, no, I agree. That it is just a bit of fun, and I wanted to bring it up and make a segment about it, because I think it's something that's missed in our game, War of the Roses. If you're from Lancashire or the surrounding areas, if you're from Yorkshire, you know the history of it, and it does mean something, obviously, once you're in that mist of it. But I wanted to also put these two concept teams together to show the viewers that how much talent is from them two areas. So you can see, and there'll be, like I've already said, there'll be players that we haven't even put in the extended squad that we've missed off, so there's even more of a pool of players. So that's what does my head in about when you hear the talent pool isn't good enough, the squad depth isn't good enough. It is. It's just you've got to look for it. You've got to give people a chance. You've got to blood them through, and you don't always have to go to Australia to find a talented player. They're right on your doorstep. That's another reason why I think this would be a great concept. But that being said, we'll get straight into the Lancashire team. So the Lancashire team as follows: Ollie Ashall-Bolt at fullback, three-quarter line of Matty Ashton, Harry Robertson. It's not Herbie Farnworth because we took him out. Joe Burgess, George Williams, Harry Smith, Luke Thompson, Brad O'Neill, Matty Lees, Junior Nsemba, Ben Curry, and Ollie Partington at loose. On the bench, we've got Danny Walker, George Delaney, Havard, Walters, Thewlis, Farrimond, and the head coach is Paul Wellings. It just shows, though, that how much talent is, like I've already said, how much talent is across. And I just think if you as a fan, and that concept is, whether it's at the start of the season, the middle or end, and that talent is on the pitch for Yorkshire and Lancashire, tickets will sell themselves 100%.
Yep. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree, Dan. You're right. There's some fantastic players in that squad as well. It'd be a hell of a game. If you put them two teams playing against each other tomorrow, it'd be a heck of a challenge for them both.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree that there'd be an appetite for it, I think, from fans. The supporters want to see the best players play against the best players. You know, and right there, you've got the best players that are playing in our competition
And
now playing against each other.
I also think it's another good idea purely for the fact we don't get many, if any, mid-season friendlies for the England national team.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a good, say we had it smack bang in the middle of the season, it's a good gauge to see where everyone is at. It's a good game for the current England manager to watch, who could basically cherry pick from performances as well as the club performance. But this is kind of another stage for you to showcase your talent, your form, and potentially get yourself into the England team.
Yeah, don't disagree again. Everything you say on it, Dan, is it whets the appetite, if you like. And
Yeah, it does.
I personally would love to see it, but whether we will or not is another thing.
It is. Couldn't agree more. Well, that concludes the special round of the War of the Roses this week. Let's move straight into the Super League news. So, biggest story in Super League this week was Mikey Lewis getting a 4-game ban. For those, especially who are overseas, Australia, that are watching, you may have not seen the game. He played for Hull KR against Warrington. He had 2 incidents that I know of in the game. One was a headbutt, and one was a very, very late challenge swinging arm on a young halfback when the ball had clearly gone. The judiciaries looked at it this week and they've deemed it enough of a 4-game ban. Where do you stand on this one, Paul?
Could have been 6, Dan, for me.
Yeah,
I've mentioned it a few times with Mikey Lewis. His petulance has overtaken him a number of times. I can go back a couple of years where he 2-foots challenge and slides at Lee.
Yeah.
Receives a yellow card, and Lee win the game by 12, and Lee scored 12 while he was off.
yeah.
The penny's got to drop with him sooner or later, because the club will end up moving him on. It doesn't matter how good you are. While you're winning games, you've got a chance of staying there, and he's very influential. I thought what he did at the weekend was cowardly. I thought it was 2 shots from behind on 2 defenceless players. The first one being the worst one, and I mentioned this on social media at half-time of the game. He was lucky not to see a card for that. It's been deemed enough for 3 matches, that one. So why it's not been looked at during live play, and the bloke hasn't been sin-binned or sent off, in my opinion, a direct headbutt. We're waiting for a challenge which causes someone serious injury before we deem it enough for more than a 3-game ban.
Yeah.
If I was in the changing rooms at OKR, I'd want to pull him aside. He's letting them down, the team down, his teammates down. He was arguing coming off the field at half-time because, there's no God-given right for him to win Rugby League games and be man of the match or play really well.
No.
So why have that chip on your shoulder? And I just don't get it.
No.
He needs to change that. All the best players have that element of not being wired up properly, and I get that.
Yeah.
But you've got to know when to draw the line. And unfortunately, that kid's got no idea.
No, I was thinking, because I've only watched it back on highlights, but my mate, he's a Warrington fan, season ticket holder. He was at the game and he could sense that it was coming. The crowd could sense that it was coming with Mikey. He was also equally surprised, and like many people on social media, that he only got 4 games. People were talking potentially double. The problem you've got is, and I look at it from an RFL point of view, whether people agree with this or not, if he was to get more than 4 games, we're on round 20 now, you're going to take him up to basically playoffs. So it would have a detriment effect on their chances of making the top 6.
So what, out. Dan? So
no,
what?
No, I know. I agree with
Don't
you.
Don't be a
this.
dickhead.
Yeah.
Don't be a dickhead.
I agree with you on that. I'm just looking at it because they've done this in the past. The RFL, they've let things slide. They've let people get off with certain things because there was correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure he did something. Yeah, he did. It was in the York game at the start of the season. He tripped
Liam Harris,
and they would not ban him because they wanted him to play against Brisbane Broncos. That's the truth, and that will never come out, but that's how everyone's seen it across social media. This seems like it smells of the same stuff, where we don't really want to give them too much of a disadvantage. They're the reigning champions, they're a good team to watch, and it could hurt the the revenue. People tune in to watch Mikey Lewis. So when he's not playing, less people watch. That's how they see it. And I feel that's why they potentially have put his ban down slightly, but had to give enough games to justify what he did on the pitch on the weekend.
Yeah, well, listen, the week before, Tavita Pangai Jr. gets done for gouge, doesn't he? And I gouged on Jake on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which is worse. I think the eye gouge is probably worse.
Yeah.
I thought for him to get 6 games, he probably was a bit lenient.
Yeah.
But the headbutt from behind on a player in a prone position is a defenceless bloke. And he's as defenceless as Jake Connor was when he was laid on the floor with a ball in his hand and his other hand tied up when Tavita Pangai Jr. put his fingers in his eyes.
Yeah.
No, so, for me, both bans should have been bigger. We can't afford to have that happening in our game. That's not good enough from a professional player. And if I, as I said, if I'm part of that, I've been involved in changing rooms before where, as a young player, I've been pulled aside, throttled, and clipped.
Yeah.
But for speaking out of turn, not for letting my team down on the field, for just speaking out of turn. So,
do you think that's potentially why he's still doing the things that he's doing, because we live in an era where people don't get clipped, they don't get throttled in the dressing room?
Or we live in an era where everybody tells him it's okay or he's okay, and I can't see Willie Peters being pleased with it, Dan. I can't see Willie Peters being happy with it, or the senior players being happy with it. But you can't strut around, behaving the way you behave and not expect any consequence. And this comes from me as a person who did that, when I was at Hull and OKR. Where you're a bit too big for your boots. I'm speaking from experience. Come down off your pedestal and get real, son, because when your career does finish, you'll regret the decisions you made in them instances. And I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof of it, Dan. So,
because he will be gutted now that he's going to be. I know they've not been playing that well of late or this season, not compared to last season. But any games that you miss through suspension, you sat on the sideline itching, aren't you? Thinking, I wish I hadn't done that.
Of course, you should still be out there.
Yeah,
you should still be out there, Dan.
Yeah. But yeah, he misses 4 games, which is massive for Hull KR. So we'll see how they go on. The next story is we spoke about him last week. Tyson Smoothie confirmed to be leaving at the end of 2026. We did mention that he could potentially be adjusting, but it all your words was it depends on Mrs. Smoothie, what she thought, and he seems like he's confirmed to be leaving at the end of this season. The team that's linked with him, who we've spoke about them quite a bit on this podcast already, is Perth Bears. They're in desperate need of an out-and-out 9. At the moment, they've only got Wishart from the Storm, but he's kind of more of a half than a 9, but he's still a very good 9. But yeah, Tyson Smoothie's looking closer to joining the Perth Bears. It's a massive loss for Wakefield, though.
Yeah, it is. I think I mentioned this last week. His service from 9's the best I've seen in the competition.
Yeah.
Both sides, fires it whistles through the air. He's defensively very strong. He comes up with some really big plays and scores some big tries for the club.
Yeah.
I think what you've seen from him is he's come over here and given it a chance, though, and his performances haven't adjudged him to go back. Because, Wakefield would love to keep him, and I'm pretty sure every other club would love to sign him. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. They travel 12,000 miles across the world, Dan.
No.
It's not easy to come over here with the climate, the weather, in winter, the dark nights, the lack of light in winter, the cold, the wet, the rain, the snow. It's sad to see him go because I've really enjoyed watching him live and watching him perform. But who's to say he's not going to go out a grand final winner with the team and the way that Wakefield are playing?
No, I agree. Massive loss for Wakefield. If he does end up joining the Bears, massive signing for the Bears. I always said when he was leaving that Broncos winning side last year, I was very surprised that no club had come in for him, and the Broncos obviously couldn't afford to renew him. But yeah, he's heading home. We'll wait and see where he ends up next season. The Huddersfield Giants have potentially reportedly tabled a 3-year deal to Jermaine Gioloffi. I don't know how familiar you are with him. He's currently out this year with with an ACL injury. He's not played a game all year for the Titans. He's played over 100 games for the Titans. He's a big front rower, and it's exactly what the Giants need. And obviously, on my post when I seen it break, when the news breaks over in Australia, Jim Lenahan was actually the interim coach at the Titans, so he's actually already had a relationship with him in the past, so he knows exactly what he's about, and they need a big go-forward player in the pack, and he seems like he tips the bill, and it's been reported a 3-year deal has been tabled for him. Obviously, the last decision's going to be on him, but how much do the Giants need a big alpha in the pack?
Well, they do, because the one they've signed from Australia in terms of the British boy, Hedges, hasn't gone well, has he? So
no, he's out again with injury.
He's out again now till the end of the season. He's not going to play till the end of till next year. So
no.
And as you said, Dan, earlier on in this podcast, we get Australians over here that, one, have got issues off the field, two, have got injuries on the field.
Yeah.
So we're getting another one that's coming over. That's not to say, by the way, because Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's got the same injury and he's still coming over. Yeah. That's not to say he won't recover and he'll come over here and kill the competition, because he certainly could. So, a big boy needed. I think for Huddersfield, they need to make some shrewd signings. I think they need to make some smart signings, and obviously the relationship with Jim Lenahan is a big plus for them.
Yeah, it is. Another bit of news that I seen break was the big front rower for Cronulla Sharks, Toby Rudolph. He's rejected a long-term deal with Catalans, and I think they offered him something like, it was between a 4 and 5 year deal, and I think he's 30 now. He's actually rejected that in favour to stay with the Sharks, and I'm almost certain he's only signed a 1-year extension. So it's a big decision, a bit of a strange decision when you've got guaranteed money, albeit in another country, to prolong your playing career, because there's no guarantee that you'll have any sort of extension offered after next season. But I was surprised that he rejected the Catalan offer. Do you know much about Toby Rudolph?
Yeah, I do. I know that he's a very, very strange character, and he was very, very much not liked at,
he's not.
At some of the clubs he's been to before people get to know him. I think he's fantastic value whenever I've watched him interviewed. I think he's probably a Marmite kind of person in terms of you're either getting on with him or you're not. I think I would get on with him, to be fair, because, I don't mind a bit of strange.
Yeah, I was going to say we're a couple of weirdos, Paul, so it's fine.
I think listen, I can understand it from his point of view. Cronulla's a beautiful place to live and play. So that's not to say that the Catalans and Perpignan isn't, but he seems like a person to me that don't like too much change.
No.
He probably struggle a little bit with too much change. So, good on him for sticking to his principles and morals and staying over there, knowing that if he came over here, then it probably wouldn't work out.
No, I agree. It's just I was like you said, because of the character he is and the player he is. I was looking forward to him to be, in the flesh in the competition, and you get to see him in person, but. Yeah, not to be, but you never know. In another 12 months, the same sort of deal, not as long, might be on the table from a Super League club. So we'll wait and see. The final one, Owen Dagnall out for the rest of the season for the Saints with an ACL injury, which makes it he's now the 16th first-team player out injured for the Saints. Before we go on to the results, obviously he was involved in that incredible game that we both backed against the Saints, by the way, on the weekend. It was a bad injury for Owen. He's a very good young player. He's had a bit of an indifferent season, but most of the Saints players have, let's be honest, this season. 16 players out injured. I mean, you're not. I'm surprised that the fifth in the table, or sixth is it in the table. When you put it on terms like that, the Saints are actually not doing as bad as we thought when you're missing so many key players.
Yeah, it's sad for him. It's a horrible injury, obviously, that and the Achilles is probably the two worst injuries that any player can pick up. And, we feel for Owen. Hopefully he can come back and come back strong. As you said, he's a good young player. And hopefully Saints will go into 2027 pre-season with some big players back and remain healthy. I think you're right. They've done really well to get to where they're at in the competition. But that's not to say they won't fall out of 6 in the next 8 weeks.
No, there's a very good chance of that, especially when they take the Wigan Warriors on Friday. And the Saints did release the squad today, and it goes 1-3, and then jumps all the way to about 14 because everyone's missing. So, it's not looking good for them, but we'll wait and see how they go on. One last bit of news on the Super League before we move on. Braden Hamlin-Uele, another Cronulla front rower. His brother actually plays for Wakefield, Caleb Hamlin-Uele. He's been linked with the Leeds Rhinos. Braden has from the Cronulla Sharks.
Yeah,
I know we've ranted and raved how good Caleb's been this year, but Braden is an unbelievable front rower. But he's only made 2 appearances this year for the Sharks, so it's been a combination of injury and being dropped out the team because they have got a very good pack at the Sharks. That's why they're in 4th spot. But he could be a massive signing, especially with them losing Aledzki to the Perth Bears. It's a straight swap, wouldn't it? As long as they can get him a fit version of Braden.
Yeah, big player. Big boy. I think he had a big hand in Caleb's resurrection from building site to Wakefield and possibly England. So, he'll be a big signing for Leeds. I think the Brad Arthur effect, as soon as he signed his new contract, the effect of Brad Arthur begins to hit Leeds Rhinos with his knowledge of players over in the NRL and the players that he can sign. But another one who's coming off the back of, as we've just said, players coming over here that are either injured or have got off-field issues. So, if you can get a fit side of Braden Hamlin-Uele, it'll be one hell of a tussle when Leeds Rhinos meet the Wakefield Wildcats.
That always seems to be the big if now, doesn't it? If we can get them fit, if we can get them happy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it so many times go the opposite way, as most recently with Kyle Felt when we've spoken about that. So it's always a big gamble, but with his brother being already over here and Braden coming towards the end of his career, then it could be potentially a good move for him, but we wait and see.
Yeah.
That wraps it up for the Super League news this week. So it's the Super League results from round 19. We started off with the Bradford Bulls 12, Wakefield Trinity 26. I thought they were incredible. The defence was unstoppable, and Darryl Powell mentioned it in his interview at the end, how well they turned up. And it's basically like title contending defence. What was your thoughts on the Trinity Bulls game? Good win for Trinity again.
I thought they were brave, Dan. I thought they were courageous. A game which could have gone either way. Wakefield found a way to win. Started incredibly well. And I agree. I think Darryl was really proud of his team, and it was a big effort from them. I think the forward pack are immense for them. Big, mobile, offer something different. Jake Truman's in great form after a full pre-season. Tom Johnston again, brilliant. So. Yeah, I think they're a real threat in 2026, and I said it a few weeks ago, and I stand by it.
Yeah, no, I definitely back you up on that, because outside of Leeds at the top and Wigan at the top, Wakefield look the ones who are going to trouble them two the most. If they can keep the troops on the pitch, keep churning out these results, I can't see why they wouldn't make a grand final. They would deserve it. The team that they've put together there, the way Darryl Powell's going about his business, I think they've got every right to be there if they carry on the way they are. So yeah, another good win for Trinity, which moves us into the first of our 2 games on the Friday night. Saints 34, a very young Saints side, beating the Dragons 34-18, and we both tipped against Catalan Dragons. Against the Saints, and the Saints just blew it, especially in the second half. The Saints blew them to pieces. Young Jack Campbell on the wing getting 2 tries. I thought he played exceptionally well. Jack Wellesby looked back to one of his better games. Jackson Hastings as well. Yeah, I thought the Saints did very, very well considering the team that they had out.
They've got to back up, Dan. That's the thing for me. You can't go from rocks to diamonds back to rocks. the weekend before that they were abysmal
Yeah, they were.
against
Yeah,
Toulouse, and then to beat a Dragons team who were heavy favourites, in my opinion.
yeah.
That lost losing at half time. I thought they were incredible, the young Saints, but
Yeah.
it's about backing up. And I know it's difficult because young players will get found out after 4 or 5 weeks. Of Super League when they're not used to that level. But yeah, an incredible performance, as you said. Young Campbell on the wing was brilliant. I thought his after-match interview was fantastic as well.
Yeah, it was.
I
Yeah,
love to hear young players speaking
yeah,
about the journey and the game and
yeah.
where they're at. So yeah, a
It just
brilliant performance. But it doesn't get any easier against Wigan this week.
no, it doesn't. It must be worrying for if you're John Cartwright sat there. It must be very worrying that near enough your full strength side has gone out against, let's be honest, a very weak Saints side who are in poor form, and then you end up getting it was convincingly beaten in the second half. You must be very worried if you're the Catalan manager. I know they've got recruits coming in, but there's a lot to work on there.
Yeah, I agree. Where next for John Cartwright and Catalan, because they're in a bit of free fall themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got a huge game again this weekend. So they need to get back to winning ways as soon as possible. They've lost the last 3 straight now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big weekend for the Catalan this week.
I'm almost certain they take on Toulouse again this
Yes,
weekend.
to do rivals round again, isn't it? It's the same
Yeah.
rivals round. So
Yeah.
I think you're right.
No, we're all probably going to tip against the Dragons this week because of the way Toulouse are playing. So this is it's worrying times for the Dragons. A lot of improvement needed. Next one was the other Friday night game, Huddersfield 10, Wigan 24, and at one stage it was 10-all. And I had a feeling that Huddersfield, because they'd already done them earlier in the season, they were going to go on and do the same again. But obviously Wigan, being Wigan, found a way and ran out 24-10 winners. Where do you see Wigan at this stage of the season? Yeah,
I think that was a big win for Wigan. I think it was a big win. I think you're right. The scars maybe of earlier on in the season, but also they've been on a run of games themselves where they've been really tough games, particularly Magic Weekend in rivals round against the Saints, which was brutal. So I think Matt Pete will be delighted with that result and get out of there. For Jim Lenihan, I think it's 2027. You can tell me I'm wrong on that, Dan, but I just think their season's done. I hope and I think they will stay in Super League because I think Ken Davey deserves that. They're a poor team in 2026, so they've got to get better for 2027.
First of all, good win for Matt Pete. I think he's an incredible manager. He'll go down, like we mentioned last week, he'll go down as one of the best managers when he decides his time's up at Wigan. But for Jim Lenihan, I think this is a very important time. The season is over, but this from now until round 27, this is an opportunity for him to watch each and every player that's on that pitch, and he can decide whether they actually want to be there. Because
it's a big 8 weeks for the Giants players because you're either in or you're out. You're either in or you're out. There's no in between. If you're off contract, you've got to be worried. If you're on contract, you should be on notice. A huge 8 weeks for the club and the players at the club.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. First game, I mean, we touched on this earlier. First game on Saturday, Warrington Wolves 34 winners against Hull KR 12. The Hull KR, I thought when they started that first set, got a 40-20, I think it was, from Mikey Lewis. I thought, right, they're on it, they want it. They had a try disallowed by Gildart, I think it was, in the corner. And then from then on, it was just one-way traffic. Then obviously we had the later on in the second half, the sin bin into Mikey Lewis that we've already spoken about, which kind of put the nail in the coffin. The young fullback, his name escapes me, the young fullback for Warrington, I really like the look of him. He played really well. Warrington just keep turning up. If you're Willie Peters at the moment, what can you actually say? What can you actually do to get that playing group galvanised? Because this one's going to sting as well. It's another convincing defeat. So where do you go? You're now missing your star man. You're losing. You're outside the top 6 for the first time this season. Where do Hull KR go?
I think they're a million miles off, Dan. This weekend, they may want to be thankful they're playing Hull FC, who were equally poor in terms of their performance, particularly against Lee in the first half. I think this weekend's a big weekend for Hull KR.
Do you think there's a good chance that, because I feel from Hull, we're going to speak about Hull FC shortly, but I feel from their second half performance, how well they played last week, it's the derby, Thursday night game, there's a good chance Hull FC get the result here, the way that Hull KR
Yeah,
going.
possibly. I don't know. I think Hull KR can still win the game.
Yeah.
I think they've still got quality there. I'm not sure Hull FC know how to win a big game or know how to get over the line. So that may be what is the saving grace for them this week. But take nothing away from Warrington last week. I thought they were sensational. Erwin and Hayes particularly. I thought Walker at 9 was brilliant.
Yeah.
They just picked apart Hull KR. They're in a little bit of free fall, Hull KR, and they've got to stop the rock quickly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Warrington were incredible. Like, touching on Danny Walker there, he's run out of 9. He's the master and the artist at it. He'll just jump out, he'll catch the markers sleeping, and then he's straight up the mid through that gap, straight through there. And he did 1 or 2 in that game, and it just saps all your energy as a defender. And then he's just made 40 or 50 metres. You're on the back foot. You've got another 2 or 3 tackles. He's just the master at it. And speaking about Danny Walker, I feel like he has to be in the England squad this time around. He has to be, whether it's an impact player off the bench. But the problem we've got is we're kind of blessed in that position at the moment. Brad O'Neill from Wigan, incredible. Jez Litton, incredible. So one of them has to miss out. Obviously, Darryl Clark's getting on now, but I just think for his nous, his know-how, and his speed, Danny Walker is just an incredible threat weapon. I thought he was exceptional, and like you said, Ewan Irwin again, unbelievable player. The OK have slipped out the top 6 now. I feel like it's a must
worrying.
Win. It's worrying. I feel like this is a must-win game for them in the derby. If you're Willie Peters, you'd be pulling your hair out, because what you watched last season to what you're watching this year is just night and day. They just look burnt out, don't they? Burnt.
Absolutely agree.
The middle game on Saturday was Lee Leopards 32, winners against Hull FC 22.
Game over at half-time, Dan.
Yeah.
28-0.
Too big of a deficit.
Too big a deficit, particularly when you've not won for a while. I thought Hull was gallant, second half, brave, but where's that from the start? You can't afford to turn up in Super League and not start games well. Game over at the break. For Lee, again, another positive result on the way to what is fast becoming a brilliant middle part of the season, and towards the end of the season, if they can continue, then I don't think their top 4 chances or their top 2 chances are gone either. I think they're up there and they're in as good a form as anybody up there.
They always seem to do this, Lee Leopards. They seem to find that gear coming into like the latter rounds, coming into the playoffs. They seem to find form, and I don't know if it's Adrian Lamb, I don't know if it's the playing group, but they just have that formula that works. And Lockie Lamb as well. I think he's an exceptional player. So good. Yeah,
they were too good. They were too good. They was too good at the start of the game. Too good. Too good as well to not put the game to bed. When Hull are coming back, the try, the score. I think the 40-20 from Adam Cooke was huge. And then the try to Charnley off the back of that was the final nail in Hull's coffin. And they know how to win big games and know how to win tight games. So Lee are in really good form.
Before we move on as well, Hull FC this week, I think it was yesterday or day before, they released a massive statement. I don't know if you've seen it. It's basically a big apology letter, wasn't it, to all the fans involved?
Dan, I'm bored of it. I'm bored of it at the club. Put up and shut up. Get on with doing your jobs and stop whinging about everything else. Like the players, particularly, I'm talking about. stop your social media crap and get on with playing rugby league, which is what you're paid to do. And why not start at 3 o'clock instead of quarter to four?
Yeah.
For a game.
I was going to say, because it does
I'm
prove
just bored of all the noise coming out of the place.
It does prove, doesn't it, from the playing squad that there's talent there. They've got the know-how.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they don't put it together from the off.
Well, apply yourselves from minute one would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just get bored of all the noise coming out of there, and try and not think about it too much, because when I watch them, I see some ability and I see some some character and some determination from them. But it's too little, too late at the weekend. 28-0. I'm almost switching off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. The evening kick-off on Saturday, Toulouse 30 against the York Knights 22. The York Knights actually made a valiant comeback, but it was kind of the same again, where Toulouse
Similar.
ran out to I think 24-0 lead at halftime, or something like that.
20. I think it was 28. It might have been 24.
Yeah.
And
just
game over in Super League, Dan.
Once a team does that, it gives up so much points. It's so difficult to come back against that without them scoring another point. Difficult. Toulouse again, though. We keep seeing them pick up results, and they're doing. Considering it's the first season as well in Super League, they've done very, very well.
I think all the promoted teams have done. I think York were very gallant again in defeat. Can't afford to give teams a start. You got to start minute one. Going to France is difficult anyway, so. But well done again to Toulouse. I think everybody would have thought that Toulouse would win after the weekend before beating St Helens away from home 46-0. So well done again to the Toulouse players and team and staff, and they march on.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I thought we'd obviously save the best till last. Castleford Tigers 36, Leeds Rhinos 34. Hands up, who's seen that? You've not said that this week. Hands up, who's seen that?
I tell you now. Particularly sort of halfway through the first half, you just don't see that result coming.
No.
And again, it shows a little bit of Castleford's, the inconsistency of them.
Yeah.
You go from Magic Weekend a few weeks ago, where their coach accuses them of waving the white flag and giving up and being fraudulent, to a team which is not waving the white flag, he's not giving up, and he's not fraudulent.
No.
So. Again, I just think players put up and walk the walk instead of talking the talk. So, congratulations to them. May well be the kick up the arse Leeds need in terms of in terms of their aspirations of finishing in the league leader shield position, or at least the top two. So, big result for Castleford. The coach might be in a bit of hot water this week, though, with his outburst of calling the referee a cheat.
Yeah, not the best thing to say. That wraps it up for the results. Last question to you: do you see the Leeds Rhinos favourites for the competition, even with that loss?
No, I don't. I think it's really open. I think Wigan are still the favourites for the competition. I think I've gone from Hull KR to Wigan. I don't think Hull KR can finish top two now, which is a huge disadvantage. But I think Hull KR will still have a say in the playoffs, but I don't think they'll win it from outside the two. Wakefield will have a big say, and it's been a long time since Leeds have won it, so you've always got that question of, can they do it again? So I still make Wigan favourites for the competition, the grand final.
So you're sticking with Wigan Warriors v Wakefield Trinity in the grand final then?
Possibly. I think it'll be one of them, two of them three teams to contest it. So another big weekend this weekend. Wakefield will probably help by playing a team that's not in the top six, whereas Wigan play Saints. And Leeds will be helped a little by playing Bradford again, I think. Them two teams have probably got a little advantage over Wigan in terms of the teams that they're playing in Rivals round. So, we'll see.
Yeah, awesome. Well, again, it's a pleasure to have you on, Paul. Been awesome.
Always, Dan. Always.
I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed every minute of it. I hope you enjoyed it too. Please remember to leave all your comments in the section about the different segments. Remember to subscribe. And me and Paul both thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, see you on the next one. Thank you.
Cheers, Dan.